My name is Grady Bias. I'm with our North Point Annapolis office. We've been bringing you updates on the Tierra lineup throughout the day, and we wanted to change things up a little bit right now. We're here with Jane Tayman from Trident Funding, and Jane and I are going to talk about the finance market and boat financing right now. But actually, what we'd like to do is give everybody another, 30, 60 seconds to join in, because it takes folks a little while to get on here. So Jane and I will just sit here and talk about what it's like living on the Eastern Shore, since we're, I guess technically I live on the Eastern Shore. Jane lives on the island. She's over on Kent Island.
Yes.
And Lauren here, our marketing director, lives in the Eastern Shore too. So we're all bridge commuters, and happy to see that the bridge is finally done. Thank you very much to all the crew that worked on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. How long have you been in the Maryland area and been on the shore, Jane?
I've been on the Eastern Shore since 1989. So grew up in Eastport in Annapolis, but been on the Eastern Shore since 1989. So a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like it over here very much. It's a good life for sure.
Yeah. Ken is our fearless leader. Ken Comerford is commenting that it's the good life.
It is a good life.
Yeah. There we go. And there's his ski profile picture. That's his good life.
Yeah, Park City, huh?
Yeah. Lauren, you think we got enough of a quorum to get things rolling?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Well, as I said, I'll give Jane a quick intro. Jane is with Trident Funding and has been in the boat business for quite a while and has a great career behind her. We work with Jane and some other brokers, but Jane is one of those people that I always feel like she's going to pick up the phone every time I call, and she's a trustworthy person that's going to do the best for me and my clients. So we're very happy to have her here today and talk a little bit about what it's like to get a boat loan right now and what things there are to look forward to. And if you have any questions, we encourage you to type them in on the side, and we'll try and answer as many of them as we can. Finances are, kind of a fun topic, but also kind of one of those things that it's just good to know as much as you can before you look at buying a boat. So, Jane, thanks for joining us. Why don't you spend a few minutes, tell us about yourself and anything we should know?
Yes, well, I first thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. I think it is a good time to kind of inform everybody of where the banks are, where the lending market is in this environment. But I've been working with Trident since 2008. I've been in the business since 1986, actually. So working for a large dealership in Annapolis. So I have quite a lot of history and some knowledge that I would love to share with everyone. So I've been on the Eastern Shore since '89, married for 34 years. So I have a lot of longevity.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. 2 boys, and we're empty nesters, which is kind of nice too.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah.
And you've been with Trident, you may say this, but you've been with Trident since 2008. Obviously an interesting time to move away from a brokerage specific firm into from a brokerage house into a lending specific firm. So what has it been like since '08? I mean, I'm sure you've seen obviously some downs and some ups and things change.
I actually, when I got in 2008, it was the downturn. So for me, it was actually a perfect time for me to learn this market because we were in the downturn. And so I was in it, the thick of things weren't so high and mighty and, on the uptick. So having been through that and going through this now, I know there is another side, and I know we're going to get there. It's just going to take a little bit more work as far as getting back to where we were. But I definitely feel like it's going to open up much quicker this time around. Mm-hmm. So it's been great for me starting at that point in time because I have gained so much knowledge in the market in good times and in bad. So I think I have a lot of wealth of information at this point. So it's a good thing for sure.
And today you hold the title of the Regional Sales Manager for the Mid-Atlantic region, correct?
That's correct. So we have offices. Trident Funding has offices all around the United States. So we have the Maryland office. We have an office in Carolinas, an office in Florida. We have two offices in California, Seattle, Washington, Connecticut. So I run the Mid-Atlantic areas, and we have an office in New Jersey as well. So I run the New Jersey, Carolinas, Maryland territories.
And what does Trident Funding specialize in? What is, obviously that's a pretty big organization that you work for. So what's your niche, and are there other organizations like you, or do you guys really handle things in a unique way?
Well, we are a little unique in the fact that we are the largest loan originators in the United States, independently owned. So we have a multiple of lenders that we use. We have about 11 lenders that we actively work with directly. So we are essentially a broker. We specialize in marine financing, but we also finance aircraft and RV. So marine is kind of our bread and butter. It's the bulk of our business.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of connections with these lenders directly over the years. We've been in business since 1995. And we have a lot of connections with multiple lenders, which gives us a little edge when we need to go to them directly for, if we have a situation where we maybe need a little push on rate or what have you, depending on the applicants. We have those relationships that we've built over the years, which is very beneficial for the customer.
So let's assume that I am thinking of buying a boat. What is the process like if I get in touch with you, Jane? What is the typical timeline, and what would somebody go through if they were to try and get a loan?
So initially, I would have a conversation to find out exactly what the customer's looking for. A lot of the lenders that we have are specific on certain things, which would be maybe the age of a vessel. So it's a really good idea to have a conversation with the applicant to find out what they're looking for. What kind of boat they're buying, how much money they're willing to put down or have available. So when I have this conversation with them and they submit application to me, I'm not shopping them around to all of the lenders that we have. We're very conservative loan officers. We want to make sure that we're very specific in knowing what the customer wants, so that when we submit application, we're not getting multiple pulls on their credit. That's a big problem, because we'll find a lot of applicants want to shop multiple sources, and they're not doing themselves a very good service, because when you're getting all of these credit pulls, it can, if you're on the borderline of a good credit score, it can hinder whether you're going to get approved or not. So essentially, we have that good conversation with them. We very much encourage people to get pre-approved in this market right now, because the lay of the land has changed quite a bit. The lenders are still actively lending, but they are pulling the purse strings a little bit. So they're going to be looking for complete applications where, some of the things we were getting done very quickly are taking a little bit longer. I think the pre-approval process is very, very beneficial for the client, as well as making an offer, allowing the seller to know that they are qualified, so they're more apt to take a bite on an offer. So that's basically the starting point.
And right now, what time frame should somebody consider from beginning to end? Because I know as a yacht broker myself, we often will refer our clients to firms like yourself to understand the lending market and have somebody that can help them find the right loan for them. But if they were to go to you today and say, I'm interested in buying a boat, how long kind of a rate lock can they get? And what is that pre-approval process going to be like to affect them down the road? So if they're buying a new boat, for instance, that might take 6 months to build, how is that different from a brokerage transaction?
So initially, when we get someone approved, it takes from the time they submit an application. When they submit an application, we pull credit in our office. We underwrite it in our office. Then we submit to the particular lender that we think is going to be best suited for their situation and the boat that they're purchasing. The turnaround time, depending on the size of the loan, is anywhere from 24 to 72 hours turnaround time from the lender. At that point in time, we phone the applicant, let them know what the rate and the term is for what they're purchasing, what their credit score was, because the rates are generated on many factors, not just one. So then at that point in time, we lock them in for 30 days on rate. We have a rate lock between 30 and 45 days, depending on the lender. The loan commitment lock period is 60 days to 6 months, again, depending on the lender. So when we're doing the new boat builds, we typically will go to the lender that will give us the longest loan commitment. So we're not having to pull credit every 60 days. So the turnaround time is pretty quickly on the approval. Now, as far as closing goes, right now, new boats that are in stock, we can close 3 days after the customer's approved. We prepare all of our own loan documents in-house, so we have a full control over the timeline of when a customer wants to close. So knowing that, most of the time on new boats, we don't need a test sale. We don't need anything other than maybe some pictures of the vessel, hull number. So boats in stock that are new can close very quickly.
Sure.
Brokerage boats are a little bit more involved in the fact that we have to have a marine survey and sea trial, which we know we're a little limited on the sea trials, but there are boats that people are buying in other states that don't have those same restrictions. So depending on where the vessel's located will really depend on how quickly we can turn that around.
Sure. And in the state of Maryland right now, just to touch on what you were saying, we are under a mandate from the governor that asks people not to go boating because it's not necessarily an essential task. But that's not to say that we shouldn't move forward with the buying process. I know that the marine transportation part of the business, so all of the folks that work on boats and any part of the process that is involved with the service side is still allowed to operate and go forward. So yards are still launching boats, and not saying that we should find a workaround, but I do think that there are some ways that you could still buy a boat today and get a sea trial so that we could meet the requirements for the lender. And I know that, as you said, other areas are fully open. So I think that there's a good chance that if somebody wanted to buy a boat and be on the water in May, we can very much start that process and keep the ball rolling.
For sure. Yep. Yeah, pretty much everything we had in the pipeline prior to this situation, we've been able to close.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And what is the lender's appetite right now for this sort of risk in the climate that we're seeing? Obviously, you said that they're doing their due diligence a little tighter and they're looking at some stuff, but what are some things that people should be aware of as they go into the loan process?
So what we've been finding in the last 2 to 3 weeks is that the lenders are looking for complete applications. They're not going to accept a half submitted application. So they're looking for, people to make sure they're filling in their income verification or their income, making sure that they're addressing, their boating experience, verifying income. Verifying income is really based on the size of the loan. So loans that are 150,000 and under, we can typically just do with an application. Loans over 150,000, they're looking for a personal financial statement and verification of income, which would be 2 years of tax returns. Some of the stipulations they've been coming back with is they want to verify liquidity up front, which is reviewing bank statements and things. So they're still actively lending, but they're just a little bit more on the reserve side. A lot of the lenders are having to hold a certain amount of capital for small businesses. So they just want to be sure that when they're lending on an applicant that's strong and is verifiable with what they're stating. Yeah. So we're asking for a lot of that up front. And other than that, I mean, it's still a very active market. It's getting a little tighter as far as pushing things through as quickly as we were before.
Sure. I see Ken Lake here, Lauren. I'm not sure if you can put his comment up. It's there we go. Are we seeing any issues with finance options due to this pandemic, and are interest rates better or worse right now because of it? I'm sure that's the number one question. And probably folks tend to view the marine lending process very much in line with the home lending market, but I think it's quite different and rates tend to be quite different, right?
It is quite different. A few weeks ago when we had the big drop in the Fed, dropped the interest rates, we had mundane calls on checking to do refinances on previous closings that we had done. And we don't run parallel with mortgage rates. So we never are running neck and neck with that. We're always slightly higher. We are a riskier collateral for the lender, if you will. It's a depreciating asset. So the rates are still very competitive. I mean, we're looking at, depending on the age of the boat, we can obtain a 3.99 on loans over 100,000 fixed for 20 years, which is very attractive.
Yeah.
Some of our lenders are starting to tick up a little bit. The last 2 days, we've seen a few lenders are raising their interest rates by a quarter. And I think that has a lot to do with the capital that they have reserved for some of the small businesses, because that funding is coming directly from the lenders. So when they're doing that, I think it's just a matter of like supply and demand, if you will. So we are seeing a little uptick, but they are still very attractive. There isn't much better. If you have an 800 credit score and a good loan to value, we can potentially get it down to like a 362. So that's like the bottom end. But things are they're very strong. It's, the money's good. It's much better to take a loan out on a boat and keep your investments working for you in the long term.
I've also heard a couple people viewing the lending as keeping their powder dry right now, because I think that some people probably may have pulled out a little bit of the market, and if they can keep their powder dry and get back in at the right time, but still move on and enjoy their lives and go boating this summer,
Absolutely.
by all means, it's an excellent tool to do so.
I agree with you, and this is just an indication to us that life is short, and we've got to seize these days, these good days, and we're going to get back to that very shortly. So if you're looking to buy, now is the time to get pre-approved. Now is the time to shop. When this passes, I mean, we're already going to start a late spring, so you want to be ready and get out on the water as quickly as you can. It's, for me at least, it's the best escape, that you just kind of can disconnect from our real world and get away. And it's definitely a great avenue for relaxation with your friends and family. So I think we're all really begging for that at this point in time.
Amen. What do you think we'll see on the backside of this 6-12 months down the road? If somebody might be thinking that, well, maybe it's time to pause and I'll look at buying a boat and getting a loan next year. Obviously you don't have a crystal ball, but do you think we'll see rates start to work their way back up, so people should maybe take advantage of what we're looking at now, or too hard to tell?
I think it really depends on where the client is in his mind as far as how quickly he wants to be on the water. So if you're thinking this summer, I would definitely suggest doing it now. I don't think we're going to see any lower rates than what we currently have at this point in time. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen in 6 months, but I do feel once we start getting life back to normal, if you will, whatever our new normal is going to be, I think we'll see a quicker turnaround than we did back in 2008 and 2009. I think we're better prepared as a country for this situation. So I definitely think that things will start to even out a little bit. I think, rates may either take a little slight tick up and maintain for the fall. So I just suggest it depends on what your plans are for your boating life and what you feel like is going to be beneficial for you. But if it's spring or summer, now is the time for sure. Yeah,
certainly. We have the loan application up on the Trident Funding website in one of the corners right now. That's something that you guys put together to make sure that it's as easy as possible for clients. They can go online at the comfort of their own home and do an application.
So you can go online to tridentfunding.com and we have a button to click for apply now. If you're working with a specific office, we actually can email you a link specific to that would be notified back to the loan officer. So if I send you a link, you click the link, it takes you right into our database to complete the application. Once you've submitted application, we get an email notifying us that it has been submitted, so we can immediately start working on it. We also have a secure link to upload secure documents such as tax returns, the marine survey, driver's licenses, income verification, all of that stuff. So we have a very secure way to apply so that you're not attaching things to an email, which can be easily hacked.
Sure. Looks like Mickey Lawler, I believe, asked, do zero or low down payments exist in the marine industry? Which is an interesting question. I was going to ask a little bit later. Prior to our current COVID situation, banks were getting a little friendlier with loans, and they were entertaining some riskier things such as liveaboards or the charter market and older vessels. When I started, if a boat was older than 20 years old, you really couldn't get that sort of a loan. So talk to us a little bit about how they have gotten friendlier with some things, and maybe speak to Mickey's question about low down payments.
Sure. It's a good question, because we do get this question quite a bit. Essentially, there is no zero down offered with any of the lenders. They definitely, because it's a depreciating asset, they would like some equity in the game. They want to have it up front. So as you're paying on this vessel and you decide to sell it in a few years, you're not in a situation where you're owing more on it than it's worth. So they will really never do a zero down. They will do less down payment in a situation where a client has the funds in his account or in his investments, but he doesn't want to pull them out. So it's the difference between he has it and doesn't want to put it down versus not having it to be able to put down is the difference. So we have some lenders that are willing to work with that depending on that situation.
Excellent.
They have definitely opened up more. We do have some lenders now that are doing charter situations, which we didn't have before. The boat can actually be down in the islands in a charter fleet. We have opportunities for that. Some people do, situations where they want to take the boat down there and have someone manage it for them. So those options are open now. We still do not have any options for liveaboard.
Okay, sure.
A lot of the reason for that is all of the laws have changed over the years that, if a customer were to buy a boat to live on it and they default on the loan, the lender can actually not repossess the boat. They have to go through foreclosure proceedings, which they're just not in the market to do. It's an exorbitant amount of money and time. So that's one of the main reasons that they don't do that.
Okay, that's interesting. Any other tips or tricks or anything that you feel like people should know as they're looking to purchase a boat and potentially get a loan?
I'll just give you some ideas of kind of what the lenders are looking for, what some of the requirements are initially. So the lenders are looking for they're looking for 680 and higher credit scores. You're going to get your discounts on the rates at 800 plus. They're going to be looking for debt to income to be 40% or lower with the new boat payment included in that. Payment to income is also an issue, especially on the larger purchases. That can only be 13% or lower. Basically age of boat, we can go up to 25 years old. When you get to 25 plus, it's considered an exception basis, which means the lender is going to be looking for a larger down payment, shorter term, and a higher rate. So that's only granted on a case by case situation.
And obviously, those are the criteria that a bank would like somebody to meet, but you don't always have a round peg for a round hole. Sometimes people don't necessarily fit into those criteria. So one of the benefits of working with a group like yours is there are banks that view things differently, right? And so you have the opportunity to fit the right loan for the buyer.
Correct.
And that's one of the reasons that we enjoy working with you and other firms, is that you make sure that the client and the boat buyer gets the right service for what they need.
Right. And that's one of the benefits of having a lot of sources, because when we're having conversations with a client, it gives us a better feel for where they are, in their current financial situation, what they're purchasing. So it gives us opportunity. We talk to the lenders directly. So we've created these relationships where the customer's just not applying online and they're getting submitted to multiple lenders and they don't know anything about the applicant. So we're kind of the liaison to the bank for the customer.
Yeah, excellent. In the span of your career, I'm sure that you've had some fun times on the water and fun times in the industry. Kind of throwing this question on you here at the last minute, but any fun stories, any particular fun boat shows you've had that you look forward to getting back to? Let's think about something positive in the future.
Actually, we were just talking, like today was going to be the first day of the Bay Bridge Boat Show. So
that's right.
It would have been a little chilly day, but it's nice and sunny out. But yeah, I definitely, the boat shows for me are a great time to reconnect with it's like a little reunion for our industry, and getting reconnected with previous customers that stop by the booth and talk about, the great time they've enjoyed on their boat that we were able to put them in. So it's just a very satisfying job in the fact that you're helping people live their dreams. And
sure,
it's very gratifying to have the ability to help them do that. But basically, boat shows are a fun time for reconnection with clients and all of our industry friends and family. And so really, that's a favorite time of mine. I was kind of disappointed knowing that we weren't going to have that this spring, but I know that we're all, edging to get out and get social again. So I know it's on the horizon, and I'm just excited for everyone to get out on the water just as quickly as we can, just to get back to some normalcy.
Mm-hmm. Ken, the owner of North Point Yacht Sales, just posted Coffee with Jane. That's one of our favorite parts of the boat shows. Is every morning we get in a little early and get to go say hi to Jane and her team and have a coffee, and usually bagel and cream cheese to help sop up the previous evening's festivities. Yeah, and maybe that'd be a fun thing for us to do, is have a virtual coffee with Jane here in a few weeks.
That would be great. I'll bring bagels and promise not to eat them all.
We'll bring our own too.
There you go. There you go.
Well, thank you very much, Jane. I think this has been informative. Jane, if you'd like to give yourself a quick little plug and let people know how to get in contact with you, we'd love to have you do that.
Yeah, so if anybody has any specific questions in addition to what we just discussed, or you have a situation that you would like to run past me or have a direct conversation, I'm happy to receive emails. My email address is Tayman, Tayman @tridentfunding.com, or you can feel free to give me a call on my cell. It's a working cell, so that number is 443-336-8499. So feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to help.
And this video, or recap video of this, or replay, will live on our Facebook page, as probably our YouTube as well, where, Jane, you can put your name and info in the comments there, and feel free to reach out to Jane. And one of the reasons that we work with groups like this is in our industry and in our world, it's easy to try and be too much to everyone, and having the right experts and the right team to support the brokerage firms, to support the finance industry, it's good. So we try and work with the experts that we have comfort and trust with. So thanks for spending some time and bringing us a little bit of light onto the world that you live in, and look forward to working with you as the spring and summer moves on, we get back to voting.
You as well. Thanks so much for having me, and everyone be well, and we'll see you on the water.
All right, thanks. Bye, Lauren. Thank you.
Bye.
Lauren.